Good afternoon and welcome to Woden Park. It's FFA Cup Round 4 action, Canberra Olympic versus Queanbeyan City. I'm Russ Gibbs, your commentator for this exciting cup match. Joining me in commentary is Angelo Constantinou, who would have been out on the field, but for an unfortunate incident of futsal on Wednesday. Ange, when I understand we were covering it, you went down very heavily and turned out to ruptured Achilles.
Yeah, not a great injury to have. Obviously, there was no one around me at the time, and I've just taken off, and it's pretty much just gone, like someone's whacked me in the back. But
thanks for getting up on the scissor lift here at Woden with your giant moon boot on as well. You comfortable there?
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Cup football is always a tricky one to talk about, isn't it? Because you never know what you're going to get with these teams. Canberra Olympic, of course, the favourites to go through this afternoon. Queanbeyan City, though, an NPL2 side with plenty to play for, and they've got plenty of quality in that lineup, and there's no way that Olympic will be taking them lightly.
No, especially in the FFA Cup, you can't take any team lightly. Even though they might be in the NPL2, they'll be one of the teams striving, wanting to come up next year or the year after. And
the year after, no promotion this year, of course. 5 players making their competitive Olympic debuts today. Let's run through the lineup, starting with Olympic. James Christis in goal, Tim Bobolas, Nick Populus, Lasse Ulrich and Michael Reeve across the back 4. A midfield 3 featuring 2 new faces, Zidane Mutlu and Andrei Janchevsky. Nick Popovic playing on the left of that 3. Up front, Kofi Danning, having signed from Canberra FC. Jay Kelly back from Victoria, and Stephen Dominici. First thing I see from that, Angelo, lots of forward attacking menace as usual. Even though you've lost a few players this season to other clubs, Frank Keisha seems to have recruited well.
Yeah, I think Frank's done a really good job in recruiting. We've got a lot of attacking players, but we've also got Lasse at the back who's well experienced, and I think we'll do a great job during the season.
Queanbeyan City will be without their coach today, Goran Jozefovski. He's absent, he's at the christening. So Goran Noveski, the technical director, is taking over their team this afternoon. They have a 4-1-2-3 formation. Jack Miller in goal, Tom Olsen, Alan Gaston, Matthew Ryan the skipper, and Joshua Rolfe across the back 4. Vasco Petrovski tasked with the holding midfield role. Ahead of him, Igor Nedeski and Alex Lazarov. Front 3 of Nikola Trajkovski, Steven Serbanovski and Ivan Pusovski. So an entertaining side from they've got as well. And they've been big hitters in the Capital League for a number of years now, Queanbeyan City.
Yeah, I know Queanbeyan, they've been around for a while, and I also know Goran very well. He'll want a team out there that's attacking. He doesn't really like to sit back, but I think Goran will be a bit of a loss on the bench today, but we'll see how they go.
He's not the only one who's not here from Queanbeyan City. David McCarron, who's been scoring a lot of their goals in pre-season, is injured and unavailable. Brad Moore is also injured, as is Mark Walker, so they're missing a couple of players. Canberra Olympic, of course, missing their goalkeeper. Sat next to us here on the scissor lift as Canberra Olympic in the blue shirts attacking the goal to our right. Very blustery day here at Woden Park. First of a double header live on Bar TV Sports. Tigers FC versus Monero to come at 6 o'clock tonight. Elsewhere, Belcombe United play Western Malonglo at Mackellar. Tuggeranong United play Connor Knights down at Greenway at 4 o'clock. Your referee is Alex Toomey, assisted by Liam O'Rourke and Jordan King, 2 young up-and-coming assistants. And it will be Alex Toomey's blast of the whistle that will get us underway and signal the second Round 4 FFA Cup match to take place this weekend. The first, of course, seeing a cup set yesterday in Griffith. The Riverina Rhinos beaten 3-0 by NPL2 opposition ANUFC, something we perhaps didn't see coming, although ANU have been Capital League grand finalists and winners over the last few years as well, so
probably didn't see it coming based on NPL1, NPL2, but yeah, as you said, ANU have been at the top of the Capital League for a number of years, so they're never a team you take lightly.
There's Ulrich, he's given it away, and that's an effort from distance, and why not? Good opportunity first off for Steven Serbanovski, and he's not lacking in confidence. Tried to use the wind to his advantage. Not sure that Christis was too worried about it.
I think James had that pretty much well covered.
Ambitious,
he gets an early touch.
Ambitious effort.
Yeah.
He's tall timber, is Serbanovski. He's going to cause some issues off set pieces, you'd think. Here's Danning. Popovic. It's a good ball down the line, a chance for young Mutlu to cut in field, and he's tracked well by Joshua Rolfe. And the first chance for Canberra Olympic to send some players forwards. Lasse Ulrich is probably the obvious target, the big number 5. Jogging into the penalty area.
Got a few tall players in the. You got Nick Bobolis, obviously missing Magic, who's on the bench, but Lasse will be probably one of the targets. I'm guessing.
Well, he's hanging around the edge of the box. Stephen Domenici's taken up residence inside the 6-yard area. Jack Miller, the Queanbeyan goalkeeper, the first test for him. Flat one towards Ulrich, and it's won by Alan Gaston, his opposite number. Queanbeyan City centre back gets rid of that. Chance for Tim Bobolis to launch one though into the danger area. Canberra Olympic beaten grand finalists, of course, last year. It's only a couple of years ago that they won the lot here in Canberra and got to the semi-finals of the FFA Cup, and man sat next to me bagged a couple of goals en route from the penalty spot in that never-to-be-forgotten cup run.
Just a memory for me at the moment, Russ. I'll be out of action for a while, so hopefully the boys can do me proud this year.
Plenty to look back on though, and a couple of World Cups as well, keep you busy.
Definitely a lot to look back on.
Bobolis couldn't get that around that on the far post. Queanbeyan City have been around for a while. They were founded in 1966. And they have 6 Capital League premiers titles to their names, 5 Capital League Champions titles to their names, and 1 Federation Cup final in 1969. When the FFA Cup was obviously just but a glint in the eye.
As I said, definitely a team you don't want to take lightly, especially in FFA Cup. It's pretty much do or die.
Well, the boys from over the border have never won the major trophy here in Canberra. They have spent some years in the top division. The closest they got was in 1969, and they played Canberra Olympic in the grand final, and they were 2-1 up with 10 minutes to go when a mass brawl erupted and the match was abandoned and the trophy wasn't awarded. And that's the closest they've come to gaining the grand final glory.
That one was news to me, but interesting enough that it wasn't awarded or replayed.
A long time ago, news to a lot of people, I'd imagine. Here's a chance for Janchevsky. Found Popovic. Players flooding the middle. Domenici was one of them, but it's half cleared, and Gaston tries to get rid of it. And here's Trzaskowski up to Serbanowski. Big fella gets hold of it, but loses out to Popovic.
That's going to be a good match-up with Lasse at the back and the tall striker up front for Queanbeyan.
Here's Danning taking it inside the fullback. It's Rolfe who's marshalling him. Tim Bobolis. Popovic. Domenici. Popovic with a strike. It's a good one too, and a decent save from Jack Miller. Diving to his right to push it over the crossbar. Popovic hit that with some venom, and a decent stop from the keeper.
Definitely great strike. Equally great save. Yeah, we'll see. Queanbeyan City's under a bit of a pump here. It's the third corner already in the first, not even 5 minutes into the game.
Well, as you'd expect, Canberra Olympic starting on the front foot. Janchevsky, a new midfielder, tasked with the set piece on this near side. It's a flat one towards the near post. Bobolis knocks it goalwards, and it's prodded in towards the target by Ulrich, but that was easy enough for Miller. Much more straightforward than the save he had to make a moment ago. That was Trzaskowski who tried to bring the ball under control. Here's Popovic. Scoops it towards Domenici. Flag goes up on the far side. Alex Toomey's not seen it. He has now, and everything else is moot. Offside against Stephen Domenici. Jay Kelly thought he was in for a moment.
But again, equally great save by Miller in the Queanbeyan goals. I'm guessing he's going to be a factor in this game on how Queanbeyan go.
There is a feeling that it's a changing of the guard around the Canberra Olympic camp this year, around in the football community. Josh Calabria, Daniel Colbertaldo, Dominic Giampaolo, Michael John, Tom McLaughlin, Bernard Rene, Rocco Stricker, all departing the club. Be interesting to see what Keisha can do with a new look Canberra Olympic.
yeah, I guess all those players thought they're going to have some more fun elsewhere. So, you know, I've always said, if you don't want to be at the club...
It's the nature of the beast in Canberra, isn't it? Just a small city in comparison to most, and it's very easy to go from one club to another. We see a lot of movement throughout the off-season.
Not something I've liked over the years. It's not like the old days where players used to stick at clubs for 5-10 years and not really change. It's a bit different these days where, you know, year or two, a little bit of money, players seem to change quite regularly.
There's some new faces in this team. Michael Reeve, not one of them, playing it forward towards Kelly. Jankowski finds Reeve. Ulrich to Bobolas. Nick Bobolas looking for Tim Bobolas down the wing, but he's overhit that one. Can't really mistake Tim Bobolas with that haircut, can you?
It's different.
It's gone a bit Aguero blonde on us in the off-season.
It was a lot more blonde than that.
He's toned it down. He did say he's trying to get rid of it. I think he woke up and looked in the mirror one morning and went, what have I done? We're just jealous because ours is getting a bit grey, Ange. And not by choice.
No.
Reeve finds Kelly. Turn from the striker, and it's a thumping challenge from Petrovsky. All the way through to his goalkeeper. Ryan, been a mainstay of this Queanbeyan side for a number of years now. Rolf plays it forwards. Here's Nadeski, tries to turn. You can see what Queanbeyan are trying to do, trying to get their midfielders on the ball and settle.
They'll need to get control of the ball. Otherwise, I think by the half-time they'll start to run out of legs if they don't have any possession.
So what generally happens in these FFA Cup games, these NPL2 sides just a little bit less fit than their NPL1 counterparts. It's Capital Football's David Jordan playing ball boy in front of us. Reeve to take the throw. It's for Popovic, and he's going to get in behind here, Nick Popovic, but the whistle goes for a little nudge. For a moment, Popovic thought he was clear. Alex Toomey had other ideas and brings him back. Jankowski in the middle of the park. It's clipped by Lazarov. First 10 minutes of the cup tie go on. Here's Mutlu. They're going to force his way through and runs into the brick wall. There's Petrovsky in that holding midfield role. Bit of a... That's a boxing mismatch there, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely outsized in that one. Little Zidane.
It's come through a lot of the development clubs and stuff throughout Canberra, and I remember seeing his name popping up regularly at futsal as a goal scorer when he was in the under-12s many moons ago. Great talent. Chance for him to establish himself as a Premier League regular.
He'll need to figure out where the games are played quite early. Apparently he turned up to Deakin Stadium today instead of Woden. Not sure how that happened.
He's not angling for a transfer already. You were talking about transfers a moment ago.
Yeah.
Hasn't even played a game yet.
Yeah. I think that's his angle, but
it's a little bit embarrassing for the youngster. He's got here eventually.
He did make it, which is great to see. He obviously gets a start as well.
Ulrich, that's a great ball forward looking for Kelly, but the flag goes up again. It's going a little bit too soon. Front three eager to show what they've got. There is plenty of goals amongst that, I would imagine. Danning, Kelly and Dominici, all capable of scoring multiple goals this season.
All very capable. I think Frank might need to have a word to him about some of these offsides and little niggling fouls that they need to cut out of the game.
Ball's nodded forwards. Might drop in midfield. Lazarov was there, and it's nicely done by Pusowski. Looks to get it back again. That's just knocked forward towards Dominici. Ryan will see that out. Pre-season results count for very little, as you're more than well aware, Ange. In the Olympics, when you look at them on paper, they're not great results in terms of the actual final scores, losing 2-1 to St George, losing 5-1 to Marconi, losing 5-0 to the Olyroos and beating Sydney Olympic 1-0, but the standard of the opposition was quality across the board.
Yeah, and that's something you need to take into account. I don't see the point in playing a team and beating them 5-6-0 if you're not going to get anything out of it. You know, playing the Olyroos and going down 5-0, it was 2-0 at half time. You know, obviously they're a quality opposition, but, you know, we got something out of it, I think, and that's all that counts.
Yeah, all four oppositions, St George, Sydney Olympic, Marconi Stanton, and that's a good win over Sydney Olympic. Dominici's goal on the 9th of February.
Yeah, they were actually 1 or 2 weeks out from their season as well, and we were probably 6 weeks out, so there's a little bit of a factor in that as well.
Mixed bag for those from Queanbeyan as well. They drew 3-3 with Cringilla, went down 3-2 to Cooma Tigers, had one to forget against Gungahlin, being beaten 7-1, and a 3-1 win over O'Connor Knights last week as a warm-up for this one, so a little bit of a mixed bag for them, but some promising results. The one against Cooma, of course. Here's Popovic, though, looking to burst the bubble early, couldn't keep it into play.
Interesting result, only going down 3-2 to Cooma,
who we'll see a little bit later on. Cooma Tigers against Monero Panthers, two sides that have been in multiple training camps. Tigers just come back from about 28-day trip to Argentina, where they've been training, and Monero Panthers seem to have been training since the week after the grand final last year. They had a friendly in December, believe it or not.
I think that's James Canaritas, the new coach out there. Loves to get his players stuck in and make sure they're always working.
Well, they should be fit if nothing else. We'll see that later on. Here's Christus, who's been largely unemployed early days in this cup tie. Danning lays it off to Tim Boblis. Wants the return, and it's a foot race between him and Rolf. Danning's got there but couldn't keep it in play, and the defender's done well to track him back. More cup football in the next couple of weeks, of course. Canberra FC play Brindabella Blues at Deakin Stadium. Gungahlin United will play the UC Pumas, and Woden Western will play White Eagles. That's the other FFA Cup 4th round matches. Extra time and penalties today and in all cup games if required. No temporary dismissals though, Ange, which will come into the NPL this season in Canberra, where dissent will see 10 minutes in the bin.
Yeah, I think that worked in the Capital League last year. I think a few of the NPL teams now are in a bit of shock that that's come in, but if you keep your mouth closed, you won't have a problem with it.
Interesting to see how that changes the dynamic of some of the players. Jancheski sends that forward. That's a nice touch, an opportunity perhaps for Popovic from a tight angle. Ryan's there to concede the corner. Canberra Olympic ramping up the pressure.
That's our 4th corner already, isn't it, Russ? Not even 15 minutes to go. Gone.
It's Angelo Constantini with the hour. Canberra Olympic goalkeeper injured. I can see he's champion at the bit already. It's only been 15 minutes into your injury. Chance for the corner to be delivered in. The one they've worked on the set piece. It'll fall for Jancheski. Rather slices that one out wide, and Dominici's caught a stray boot, and the drive from distance was never going to trouble Miller.
I think he might have been knocked in the gut or something with the ball.
It looked a bit painful, didn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe either in the stomach or maybe a little bit lower.
Hopefully he can just jog that off.
Yeah, it stings a bit, doesn't it?
No comment.
Well, not as much as a ruptured Achilles, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Probably the wrong person to be asking right about now. Corner swung to the near post. It's a decent one towards the far stick, and coming in was the Olympic defenders. And here's a chance again, and a corner again. I think Olsen got involved this time. It was a decent ball into the area again, though, wasn't it? Swung in by Kelly.
Yeah, they've knocked in a lot of decent balls, but again, they need to get someone on the end of them if they want to get any sort of result.
I think it was Nick Boblis who was hanging around on the far post. Kelly again. 3 or 4 of these have gone flat to the near post. That one's a bit deeper. It's a good one as well. And once again, Queanbeyan City need to clear. Gaston this time.
Seems to be doing a job, Queanbeyan City, at the moment, in defending and keeping the ball out.
It's a decent header from the central defender, Alan Gaston. Kelly from the other side. Succession of corners for those in blue. Out comes Miller, good fist. Lazaroff on his own, can't get under control. Comes straight back again from Kelly. Rolf prods it clear. Dominici. Mutlu. Still going, Zidane Mutlu. Tried to take on Rolf, he's going to get another opportunity. Good ball to Kelly. In towards the near post, Ulrich is there, and it kind of came on him a little bit quicker than he expected, I believe, and he couldn't turn it goalwards. But Kelly and Mutlu enjoying themselves down the flanks.
I think what looked like one of the Queanbeyan defenders let it go for the keeper, and I think the Olympic player got in there and wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, the big centre half had stayed forward from the corner. Been mostly one-way traffic so far. Not a lot for James Christus to do in the Olympic goal. Miller been the busier of the two stoppers. Bobulus up into the air. Serbanovsky nods it back, and that's just spanked forward. Ryan. Interesting ball from Dominici. It's come off Popovic. Shooting chance for Nick Popovic. And he's blazed it past the post. Another good opportunity for the striker who's causing issues.
Another great opportunity gone begging, but Nick Popovic will be disappointed with that, as will probably Frank and the team. They need to take advantage of those opportunities.
Well, he went for power, didn't he, when perhaps a placement would have been better. Here's Danning. That's behind Popovic. Petrovsky sends Serbanovsky off on the chase. Nick Bobulus was in front of him though. And even in these early stages, after around 20 minutes, you see that Queanbeyan's possession stats will be very minimal. They're going to have to do it the hard way and take any opportunity that comes their way this afternoon, as they probably expected.
Can't always go on the possession stats, Russ. It can come back and bite you. Even with not much possession, you can end up getting a goal and getting a 1-0 result.
You play in the same futsal side as Goran Jozovsky. He was telling me this is a bit of a free hit for his boys. No one expects them to actually go out there and win the game.
Yeah, definitely, probably not expected, but you know, I'm sure Goran would have told his players to go out there and obviously try to win the game. They don't want to go out there and be embarrassed or anything like that, and Goran won't be happy if they don't play to their potential.
It's a chance for them to upset the apple cart, so to speak. And even though they have been on the wrong end of the territory in possession in the first 20 minutes, they haven't conceded. It's 0-0. Olympics still looking for that breakthrough. Here's Dominici. Trzaskowski. That's Serbanovsky. Flag stays down. Looks to find Pukowski on the far post. Stephen Dominici looked an angry man on Wednesday, Ange, in the futsal final.
That's Steve. We'll see how these new Sinbrin rules suit Steve in this coming season.
He said as he was walking on the field before we came round that it was a change, Stephen Dominici.
Oh, look, I think he's definitely settled down from a couple of years ago. Definitely not getting as many yellows and or reds as he's been used to in the past.
Still waiting for our first goal of the FFA Cup afternoon here at Woden Park, but there has been one at McKellar. Belconnen United have the lead against Western Molonglo. 1-0 to the Blue Devils. That one going according to plan. for the MPL club. Dominici. Feet just gave way. It's Kelly. Dominici again. Can he pick a pass to unlock this Queanbeyan City defence? Not like that, they can't.
I'm sure Goran's worked the boys really hard and the team really hard to strengthen their defence as much as possible, and that's really what's going to get them through the MPL 2 as well.
They've never been past the round 4 stage of the FFA Cup since its qualifying status was introduced back in 2014. Brilliant play from Mutlu. They've been beaten in this round in the last 5 years. Gungahlin United last year, who went all the way to the final. After beating Narrabundah 5-0, went down 2-1, lost to Woden Western, White Eagles and ANU at this stage. Queanbeyan City, so they'll be looking to make club history if they can squeeze a win out of this one. Here's Popovic, opportunity for Danning to strike, and he leaned back and smashes over the crossbar, and he's disappointed with himself as well. Another good chance.
Another good chance gone. I think Queanbeyan also need to just... they didn't get the decision down here on the line. Not sure exactly what happened. I think the players stopped it before it's actually gone out. Then Olympics gone on to goal, but they need to, regroup and not worry about what's just happened.
Let's let me chat with the young official this side, Jordan King. He was Johnny on the spot. Gaston needs to be careful. It was Trzaskowski. Ryan,
it's
back
offside.
to his keeper. There's no doubting there's some quality players in this Queanbeyan City side if they can get hold of the ball, but they're struggling to at the moment. Here's Danning in the box. Dominici looking to stand up Ryan. Gets in there, and Ryan does well defensively to concede another corner. Be pushing double figures for these set pieces. Midway through the first half, live on Bar TV Sports, FFA Cup qualifying football in Canberra, round 4. Canberra Olympic 0, Queanbeyan City 0. We'll see Canberra Olympic in action next Friday as the MPL starts at Deakin Stadium. Grand final rematch between Canberra FC and Canberra Olympic.
It's going to be a cracker of a game, I think.
Should be a belter. Canberra FC winning the Charity Shield on Friday. That one swung in towards Bobolis. Bounces around. There was a half a shout for handball there as the ball struck the arm of Tom Olsen. Didn't think he knew an awful lot about it. They've coughed that one up. Here's Popovic. Would have been a harsh penalty to give, Ange.
Yeah, well, Queanbeyan definitely wouldn't have been happy about it. I don't think the player knew much about it, and obviously not something you want to be giving away.
Here come Olympic with Bobolis. Danning's got in behind here, striding towards goal, but couldn't find Dominici. It's going to come straight back though. Might break here for Janczewski to strike one, and he too becomes a third or fourth Olympic player to be leaning back and not hitting the target.
A couple of Queanbeyan boys look a bit ragged out there. They've been working really hard though. They're definitely keeping the Olympic boys out. I think Goran will be happy not to have conceded so far in the game.
Well, we did mention they are an MPL 2 side, but they're no mugs. They finished the Capital League first last year with 39 points, 1 point ahead of White Eagles, but then had a bit of a disaster in the final series. They lost the qualification final 3-2 to White Eagles, and then were dumped out on penalties in the preliminary final by ANU after a 1-1 draw. So they had some consistency during the season. Popovic is away here, and Ryan strides out. Matty Ryan, decent centre back. So plenty of work to do.
He's been everywhere for Queanbeyan at the moment.
Here's Bobolis. Change of direction. As the wind picks up, you can possibly hear it howling around. Or even Kelly, not quite on the same wavelength. Canberra Olympics Cup pedigree, of course, and slightly more glorious than Queanbeyan's. A couple of finals in the last 3 years. Win over Tigers in 2016, 3-1, and a 2-0 win over Tuggeranong in 2017. Saw them enter the national stage. Fair to say the 2016 season was slightly more memorable than 2017 when the round of 32 lost to Sorrento in Perth.
Yeah, that was a tough game in Perth, and obviously the 2016 is, I guess, where a lot of the NPL clubs Australia-wide would want to be.
Yeah, Canberra Olympic reaching the semi-finals. There's a great ball forward. Now here's Dominici in behind. Real chance here for Stephen Dominici to get on that right foot. Danning was coming up with him, and Dominici neglected to shoot. Tried to give it to Danning. His Bobulus on the overlap into the area. Chance for Popovic, and somehow he's been denied.
It's a great sliding save.
It's Alan Gaston, the defender, who got across there. But for a moment, Dominici was in. You thought he might pull the trigger on the right foot.
I thought he would. I thought then he gave a ball across to Kofi, which I thought could have been a little bit better. But it goes to show the resilience of the Queanbeyan defenders. They really want to come up with the result here.
Yet another Canberra Olympic corner. Swung in towards the near post where Nick Bobulus was. It might fall for Tim Bobulus, and that took a deflection, and it will be a corner again on this near side. Mentioned the 2016 Cup run. Surfers Paradise Apollo, Redlands United, Green Gully all beaten at Deakin Stadium before Sydney FC proved too strong at Viking Park in front of 5,581. The 3-0 win for the Sky Blues in the last four. And that's where Olympic and everybody in Canberra wants to get to, and everyone, I guess, in Australia. As Ange mentioned, the ball swung in from Danning. Harmless enough. Well, they've had a lot of defending to do, Queanbeyan City, but they're still in the cup tie. Jack Miller's made a couple of good saves.
They're definitely still in the game, that's for sure.
And some wayward finishing from those in the blue shirts.
Need to get me back out there.
Just for the penalties. Can you take penalty in a moon boot? Probably. You never did much of a run up with the penalties though, did you, Ange? It was just a stroll forward and pick your spot. The man who became famous for the tracksuit pants and the cap is Danning, bursting into the penalty area, cuts it across. Popovic was there. Ryan got the header though. Another good piece of defending. Janchevsky finds Bobulus. Popovic, flag goes up again though. You still got those tracksuit pants?
I do, although they're not tracksuit pants, they're actually padded goalkeeper pants, but we can go with the tracksuit pants.
Look like, I think it was Gabriel Kirali, the Hungarian goalkeeper, used to play in the Premier League many years ago with the grey tracksuit pants.
Yep. Back in the day, Ross, 20 years ago or more, most keepers actually wore pants rather than shorts.
Certainly did. It's probably when you made your debut, wasn't it? 25 years ago or 30 years ago?
Yeah, 1990 something.
Been a long career. You've not had too many injuries.
No, this will be my biggest and longest injury. Other than that, I've been pretty good. Only the 3-4 week kind of injuries. Not a great challenge there from...
Now Popovic left something on Miller, didn't he? As he came through, tried to block the ball and caught the keeper. I'll give you a chance to spend more time in the commentary box, I guess, Ange.
Yeah, I'll give me something.
Where else would you rather be on a sunny Sunday afternoon, apart from obviously in nets on the field? Queanbeyan City are hanging in there defensively. I think if they can get a set piece or something up the other end, they might be able to trouble young Christus.
That's the worrying part for Olympic, when they have so many opportunities and don't score, and then the opposing team like Queanbeyan go up the other end and, you know, snatch a goal out of nothing.
Here's Lazarov looking to do just that. Tries to squeeze it through, but it's picked off by Nick Bobulus. Janchevsky. Dominici. Reeve. Janczewski, little nibble at him by Treczkowski. Easy decision for Alex Toomey. Janczewski, and he's overhit that one as well. There's one thing that Olympic won't do though, Ange, is panic. Just over half an hour gone. They'd like to have had a goal by now to settle the nerves, like Belconnen have got, especially when you're playing lower league opposition.
Definitely, you can't panic 30 minutes into a 90-minute game. Not a great challenge there.
No, it's a free kick, a high foot on Igor Nedeski, and this is what we were talking about just a moment ago. A chance for Queanbeyan City to flood the penalty area. Vasco Petrovski, the number 6, is a big unit. Gaston's come forward as well. That Matt Ryan is jogging in there too, and Serbanowski, who we mentioned earlier. There is a distinct height advantage for those in red. Question is, can they provide the service which will give them an opportunity? It's a decent one in towards the central defenders who have jogged forward, and here's Olympic on the break. Here's Dominici. It's 4-on-2 at the moment, and the pass didn't find its man. It's been picked off by Lazarov, who's given it straight back. Danning, and he's given it back to Queanbeyan City. And that was Piasowski's ball forwards. There we saw, just for a moment, that free kick caused a few issues.
Yeah, I think it was a great quality ball into the box. Well handled by the Olympic defence, but Queanbeyan have got enough tall players in there to get something on that if they have another chance.
Popovic bursting away again. Danning's peeled away towards the far post, and you can't pick him out.
Not sure if that was a cross or a shot, Ross.
The odd scross. Seen them drop in before.
Especially with this wind as well. Don't know where it's going to go.
Well, if Goran Jozefowski is watching from his christening, he'll be pretty happy with what he's seen as his team move towards the final 10 minutes of the half. No goals at the moment. It's been mostly Canberra Olympic with the ball. Serbanowski challenges, wins the throw off of Ulrich. Tom Olsen will take. The Olympic will bring it clear. Tim Bobolas. Kelly from deep. Just to lift that one in towards Dominici, but Ryan has shown already that he's pretty quick off the mark. I'm well aware of those balls over the top. Space for Gaston. Reeve needs to be aware of those around him and goes back to his keeper. Getting Petrovski more on the ball now, Queanbeyan, when they are going forward, the holding midfielder, and he seems to have a decent range of passing.
Yeah, you can't underestimate any of these Queanbeyan boys.
Popovic playing as a pseudo centre half at the moment, and it's a foul by Tim Bobolas. Fairly easy decision for Alex Toomey.
I think Alex has had a good game so far.
Well, the longer it stays 0-0, the more the belief will course through the veins of those in red that they can cause an upset here. Only takes one mistake, of course.
Cup set.
The old cup set. We've seen a couple. UC Pumas beating Southern Tablelands in the third round. The State League side knocking over an MPL2 team. And, of course, last night, MPL1 Riverina Rhinos beaten 3-0 by MPL2 ANU. So they do happen. Nice feat by Lazarov. Ryan. Petrovski. Just to squeeze it out there towards Rolf.
Game's getting a little bit scrappy in the midfield there. Although Queanbeyan's not giving much room to Olympic to try work anything, which is good to see from Queanbeyan.
Well, if Olympic needs someone to break this game open, they do have Robbie Catnatcher on the bench. I'm not sure he's 100% fit, but might be an option for Keisha as Danning swings that one in towards Kelly on the far post. Nicely done by Jay Kelly, almost got past his man. Ryan will clear.
Interesting ball into the box.
Been a lot of flat crosses, hasn't there? And from that far side in particular. Not really beating the first man. And Ryan's been a colossus at the moment for Queanbeyan.
It's been outstanding for Queanbeyan at the moment.
Mopping up everything that's been asked of him. Lazaroff, is this a chance for Queanbeyan to construct something on the attack? Olsen can't keep it in play.
Yeah, between him and Miller in goals, they seem to be nullifying anything that Olympics putting in front of them.
They needed to have a big game, didn't they? Both of them, and they are at the moment. Miller's made one fantastic stop from an absolute rasping pile driver from Popovic. It's turned over in midfield, but Kelly wins it back again.
I think he was looking for the foul there, but Alex wasn't to give anything.
He was running to Petrovsky. Queanbeyan growing in a bit of confidence.
I think they've definitely grown in the last 5 minutes. They're playing the ball around a lot more. They're definitely shutting Olympic down in the midfield, and I think that's where they were lacking in the early stages of the game.
Olsen takes on Reeve. Got goal side briefly. Comes back to Trachkovsky. Olsen again. No one in a red shirt anticipated. And it's won by Bobolas. Popovic looks to send it towards Danning, and that's an important header from Gaston.
It's a very important header, very unorthodox, but definitely got the job done and straight back to his keeper.
Just for a moment there, Olsen got away from Reeve, who was quick enough to recover. Here is Reeve. Ulrich. Nick Popovic is playing extremely deep, getting everything from the centre-back at the moment. Angelo trying to create something for his team.
Yeah, he seems to be all over the park. He's up front. He's getting the ball off the centre-backs.
Trying to dictate the tempo of it. And he's won a free kick there. They want to go early. Reeve wanted it on this near side, but the cluster of red shirts made sure that didn't happen.
Steve's tried to kick the ball in to try and get another free kick or a yellow the back of a Queanbeyan player, but rightfully so. I don't think Alex took any part in that.
Sneaky effort. See it a lot there these days, don't you? We've got 5 minutes to go to the break. No goals at Woden Park in this FFA Cup 4th round match. It's been a second goal though at McKellar. Balcony United well on their way to the 5th round. They now lead Western Wollonglow by 2-0. We'll try and bring you the goal scorers at half time. Meanwhile, Bobolas into the area. Popovic went near post, and there was that man Ryan again. There's been a few covetous glances at Matt Ryan over the years at Queanbeyan from Premier League clubs, but he's preferred to stay and play with his mates. That's swung in. Miller's not got there. Here's a chance for Popovic. Deflection again. Bodies on the line stuff from Queanbeyan City, and I've lost count of the amount of corners that Olympic have racked up in this first half.
I lost count 20 minutes ago, Russ, but that's the kind of thing I like to see, where players stick by their club and try to make the most of it.
Skipper of Queanbeyan City doing a skipper's job at the moment. Here's Dominici on that right foot, fires it goalwards. That's hit a hand, and that is a penalty.
That had to have been, yeah.
Took all the sting out of the shot. Gaston is the unfortunate man. Dominici's strike hits him on the arm, and here is the chance the Canberra Olympic have been waiting for to break the deadlock.
And he's been rock solid in the defence all game. It's just unfortunate that he's actually handballed that one.
Well, 3 minutes to half time. This would be the ideal scenario for Canberra Olympic. Stephen Dominici placing the ball on the spot. The Olympic striker against Jack Miller. Here is Dominici. Deadlock broken. As easy as you like in the end. He strolls forward and slides it past Miller, and Canberra Olympic hit the front. They've been knocking on the door and now they've broken it down. It's 1-0.
Definitely been knocking on the door, Russ, and I think Queanbeyan will be a little disappointed to be giving away a penalty so late into the first half.
Now we'll see what Queanbeyan have got as a response. Unfortunate way to go behind.
Defensively, they've done so well to keep Olympic out of this. Obviously, Olympics, missed some shots here and there, but full credit to Queanbeyan for their defensive efforts so far.
Can they show us something going forwards in the latter stage of this half? That goal coming a couple of minutes before the half-time interval. That's what Olympic have been looking for. The weight of possession, the weight of corners, the weight of chances. Eventually it was going to cause some issues. Now here's Kelly. This is a chance for number 2, Jay Kelly, and he's missed it. A real opportunity to probably put this tie almost to bed right on half time, and that was a great chance for Kelly. You'd have expected him to score.
You would expect him to score, and at 2-0 going into the change rooms, I think the whole team would have felt a little bit more comfortable. But currently 1-0 with a couple minutes to go. See how it pans out.
Whilst that would have been incredibly harsh on Queanbeyan, Frank Keisha will be thinking, how's his team not put this one almost done and dusted? Queanbeyan need to regather themselves and not let this one fall away from themselves at the end of the first half. That's a good challenge from Olsen.
I guess it's about what we spoke about in the first half, Russ, with the MPL2 sides probably not being able to handle the full intense 45 minutes of each half without lagging a little bit.
Popovic finds Kelly, who missed that glorious chance to make it 2. Lazarov to Olsen. And Trzaskowski was in there. It's looked pretty useful when he's had his foot on the ball, Nikola Trzaskowski. They need to perhaps get him involved a little bit more. Olsen's header. Falls for Kelly. Dominici. He stayed onside. He's looked for Danning, that's come in on the far post. It's Kofi Danning against Miller. Real chance for 2 here. Popovic in there as well, and the red shirts scramble it clear.
Again, I think that's something Goran, coach of Queanbeyan City, will be really proud of, having all his players scramble to get back behind the ball. Doing a great job of that.
I think we're into stoppage time. Here's Popovic. Thought about lining one up. Looks for Danning. Arriving is Mutlu. Couldn't get there. Kelly does and blazes that over the bar as the final seconds of the half tick away. What have you made of it, Ange? Jay Kelly in particular has had a couple of good chances. His movement's good. His pace is good. He just hasn't been able to find a finishing touch.
Yeah, I think him, along with a couple of the other boys, Dominici, Kofi up front, I think just that final shot has let them down in what could have been, 3-4, 5-0 already.
The scoreline that perhaps would be incredibly harsh on Queanbeyan, who've fought hard and are only behind to that penalty. This man in particular, Ryan's had a great game. It was his touch, it inadvertently sends Danning scampering down that wing, and he's kept it in, and there's blue shirts aplenty on the far post. Gaston's there and heads it behind for the corner. Needs to get his head up, doesn't he, the defender? He's done well, and it was his handball, unfortunately, that gave the penalty away, but
I don't think that should let him down too much. It's very unfortunate, but he's had an outstanding game in the first 45 minutes.
Danning. Mutlu. Danning. Plenty of blue shirts want a delivery, and they're not going to get one. and that'll frustrate them as referee Alex Toomey brings the half to a close. And it's been pretty much one-way traffic as we expected, but defensively Queanbeyan City have been on their game, and it took that penalty 2 minutes before the break to separate the sides. And Queanbeyan need to have a chat at half-time. They're not out of this cup tie, but they need to find some way to become more of an attacking force in this second half.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're scrambling really well at the back. I think they need to get a bit more mongrel into the midfield there. They did it for a 5-minute period, and I think it unsettled Olympic. I think if they can do that a little bit more, it'll be an interesting second half.
Thanks for your comments in the first half. We're going to take a little bit of a break at half-time here in the FFA Cup 4th round qualifying in Canberra. It's the NPL 1 side that lead, a penalty from Stephen Dominici a couple of minutes before the interval. It's Canberra Olympic 1, Queanbeyan City 0. Welcome back to Woden Park for the second half of the FFA Cup qualifier match between Canberra Olympic and Queanbeyan City. At half-time, Canberra Olympic lead by a goal to nil. Stephen Domenici's penalty a couple of minutes before the interval. Amras Gibbs, your commentator, joining me as he did in the first half, is Futuru international goalkeeper and injured Canberra Olympic shot stopper Angelo Constantino. And here it's 1-0. Over at Belconnen, it's 2-0 to the Blue Devils at the break against Western Molonglo. Sam Whittier and Daniel Sparrow with the goals there. So both these games going according to what we would have thought prior to kickoff. But Queanbeyan City here, been on the back foot for a lot in the first half. At some stage they need to take the shackles off and try and attack to get back into this cup tie, and that's going to leave them a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, I think at one stage during the second half they're going to have to change something up. They can't just keep defending for the next 45 if they have any way of getting through.
They've done very, very well in the absence of their coach Goran Jozovski, the side that will take to the field in the second half, assuming there's no changes at the moment.
Did I just see Goran in the team huddle there?
Jozovski, as he turned up.
Well, it looks like it.
Jack Miller in goal, Olsen, Gaston, Ryan, Rolf across the back, Petrovsky, Nadesky, Lazarov in midfield, Trachkovsky, Serbinovsky and Pusovsky the front three. They've looked a little bit dangerous on set pieces.
Definitely got some tall timber in there for set pieces, and I'm sure they're the go-to boys when it comes to anything around the box.
There is Goran, he's back in his suit. Got back for the second half. Maybe he's watching it and thought, I can do something about this. I'm surprised he's not kidding himself up. Looking sharp, isn't he?
Goran's always a man that loves to look sharp.
Canberra Olympics team for the second half. Christis in goal, I should say. Tim Bobolas, Nick Bobolas, Ulrich, Reeve across the back. Mutlu, Jancheski, Popovic, midfield, front three of Danning, Kelly, Dominici. They created ample chances in the first half, Ange, but they missed a lot. And chances that they should be gobbling up, really. I mean, that one from Kelly on stroke of half-time could have put this game a whole different complexion.
Yeah, definitely should be finishing a lot more of those chances if they've got any aspirations to make it for as far as they can go in the FFA Cup.
Well, they started on the front foot there with Dominici. Here's Serbinovsky, who's cut a little bit of a lonely figure this afternoon, up front on his own, trying to hold the ball up whenever it comes near him.
Be interesting to say what Goran's told these players just before they've started this second half, and if they change anything up.
Be interesting to see how much of it he's seen on the drive back from Sydney.
I'm sure he would have been on the phone making contact with a lot of his staff.
Well, his team is defending at the moment, as they did for most of the first half, to good effect for 43 minutes until that penalty decision against Alan Gaston allowed Dominici to open the scoring. Bobolas, Danning, got away from Rolf, good ball in as well, almost broke for Dominici. It's going to come for Tim Bobolas, who goes down under the challenge, and this is dangerous. It's going to be a yellow card.
Definitely not a pretty challenge.
Nadesky gets the ticket, and this is Robbie Catanach range if he was on the field. And Stephen Dominici, I'm sure, will fancy this, or Kofi Danning.
Yeah,
the queue of blue shirts.
Not short of any talent to have a strike from this distance.
But Danning's tentatively placed the ball.
Jay, Danning, Dominici, even Popovic.
Well, it's Dominici's there around it. It looks like Danning's taken control of the situation though. Placing the ball at the start of the second half. Hope you started your stopwatch, Ange. Here's Danning, lifted over the wall. Kofi Danning with a piece of magic right at the start of the second half, and that's a nerve settler. If ever Olympic wanted one, they've doubled their advantage. A corker of a free kick, 2-0.
That's a great free kick. Obviously Danning stepped up and was feeling real confident with that, and he made sure he put it in the back of the net.
Just lifted it over the wall. Quality finish from Kofi Danning. That's what you get from a former A-League player as well. that extra bit of quality. As soon as the free kick was awarded, he took control of the situation and he makes it count. Not the start that Queanbeyan wanted.
No, definitely not. Didn't want to concede this early on. They conceded late in the first half, early in the second half, and there's probably the times you don't want to be conceding.
Trzaskowski tried to lift that one over the top, just put a little bit too much on it. Nadeski got caught on the follow through. Limping a little bit, the midfielder who picked up the yellow card for the free kick. But Danning dispatched with his custom style. Janchevsky looked for Danning, couldn't find him. Petrovsky has it back from Ryan. He looks to spread the play, but Kelly picked it off and looks for Reeve on the overlap. It's a good covering tackle from Petrovsky, from the number 8, Nikola Trzaskowski. Popovic operating further forward than he did at the end of the first half. Most of last season was truncated for Nick Popovic after he picked up an injury early doors.
Yeah, Nick's one of those real unfortunate players that seems to get a lot of injuries, and when he gets one, they're not the greatest.
Talking of injuries,
yeah,
that was Pusowski in the challenge with Tim Bobolis. I think it was a fair enough challenge. He just one of those loose ones when your leg goes through, and you could hear the howl of anguish from Ivan Pusowski from here.
Didn't sound like he went down too well. Does look like he's in a bit of pain too.
He does seem to be in a bit of pain, and a couple of the Olympic players coming to see if he's okay. Options for Goran Jozowski on the bench include Daniel Todorovsky, Tony Angelkowski, Lachlan Cam, Jack Bush and Bradley Moore.
The magic water, see if that can fix it.
The extent of the physiotherapy treatment, has a bit of a drink.
I remember the old magic spray, Russ.
Yeah, there's no spray out there though, it's just a bottle of water. I wonder what's in it.
Rakia.
Yeah, it could well be. It's got him back on his feet anyway, so
it's definitely done the job. He's on his feet, which is a good sign.
Yeah, if it's a bottle of Rakia, they'll be like, be going, I don't want it. I'm happy to get off the field. Saw one for though, all jokes aside. See if he can run it off.
Yeah, I think he's looking to come back on, so.
One of those ones that when he wakes up tomorrow morning might be very, very sore. Olympics options on the bench include Robbie Katnach, Sean Pateman, Amir Adam and Nathan Mejic. No substitute goalkeeper today. Mason Interlandi was on the bench to start with. Scratched before kickoff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was due to come, but I was not sure why he didn't make it today.
Something obviously came up. That's what happens when you play amateur football.
Mind you, we do have a spare keeper on the bench. You did name him as a player, but I do back him as a goalkeeper in Robbie Katnach.
So I'm sure that Frank Asia wouldn't want Robbie to have to come on in goals.
He's done it. He's done it for me before. I think I got sent off one year in Queanbeyan against Monero, and no hesitation between me and Robbie and who was going in goals. We both walked up to each other.
How'd he go?
He did really well. He also plays goals in futsal too, so it's not a problem there.
Well, we'll see if that comes to that. At the moment, it looks unlikely. Free kick to Queanbeyan City. Chance for them, perhaps the most dangerous opportunity they've had of the match so far. Lazarov over the dead ball and Plenty of red shirts in and around the penalty area. Cluster of them on the spot. Can Lazarov pick one out? Decent ball in. It's in the post. It's gone in. They're back in the cup tie.
That's one of those, was it a cross or was it a shot type scenarios?
The old Scross has come out. And Christus lost this, I think, in the flight of the ball. Maybe the wind had something to do with it. It's dropped over his head and gone in off the post. And Queanbeyan City are back in the game. We have a cup tie here at Woden Park now. It's 2-1.
That's definitely put Queanbeyan back into the match, and it was what I was talking about in the first half for us, where they don't get many opportunities, but when they do get one, they take it.
Well, we thought they might pose a problem from set pieces. Probably not the manner in which we thought it might come, though.
No, definitely not. I don't know what happened there, if James lost it or the wind. The wind could have actually taken it because it is blowing in this direction. But yeah, I don't think he'll be too happy about that one.
Either way, Queanbeyan City won't care. They're back in a cup tie that looked dead and buried at 2-0. Now they've got to keep their wits about them at the back. Here's Danning.
They look a lot more livelier now.
Still going. Danning looks to pull it back across goal. Real chance here for Jay Kelly, and it's off the line. Another opportunity for Kelly. Seemed to lose it amongst his cluster of feet in there and couldn't prod it in. Nick Boblis has been caught there by Piusowski. Play on, says the referee. Mutlu challenging with Serbanowski.
Not sure how Alex has let that other foul go.
Tried to play an advantage, I think. Here's Petrosky. Well, Queanbeyan City will be full of confidence now.
Yeah, it looks like they've got a little bit of a spark in them now after scoring that goal. They've got a lot more energy. They're working a lot harder. Also having their coach back on the bench, I think will help them, give a bit of spark to them.
Popovic back to what he was doing in the first half, which was dropping deep, trying to dictate the play, trying to draw Queanbeyan out and then release Tim Bobolis. Canberra Olympic have won this competition 6 times in the past: 1979, 1981, 1983, 1997, 1999, and then the brace of wins in 2016 and 2017 after the competition went national, and this became a qualification route. Here's Dominici getting in behind Ryan, and Ryan stands him up superbly. Pace and strength from the centre-back.
Definitely a lot of strength there from Ryan to keep Dominici out. Dominici's no pushover as well when it comes to the final third there and putting his weight and body in place.
Well, after Danning's free kick made it 2-0, we thought we might just be in for a Canberra Olympic coast, but that's certainly not the case. Lifted into the penalty area. Ulrich was in there with a high foot, and the referee pulls him up. Just as Kelly was prepared to pull the trigger inside the penalty area.
Always an iffy free kick, those ones. Player diving down towards the ball and a player putting their foot upwards. It's always a tough decision for the referee in which way he wants to take it.
Well, 5 days out from the season opener at Deakin Stadium against Canberra FC, this is probably not what Frank Keisha wanted. Probably would have hoped this tie would have been done by now. But Queanbeyan City had other ideas. They've been a little fortunate, but they're back in the match.
Definitely, and like you said, the game's not over yet.
Can they find an equaliser? If they do, we could get extra time and penalties if it's a draw at 90 minutes. Rolf has it in midfield. Nice touch for Lazarov, the goal scorer. Steps away from Janchevsky and is caught in another free kick. Another chance for Queanbeyan and a yellow card for Andrei Janchevsky. Saw one for Alex Lazarov as well. Well, it's a fair way out, this, Ange, but with the wind behind them as well, and the sun shining in James Christus's face here, it's a passable opportunity, this.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure who they've got that would be able to strike this, but looks like they've put it down, and that's what they're going to do.
Well, Lazarov took the last one, but he's down in a heap on the floor at the moment, and he's not going to be able to take it because he's getting treatment, so he'll be off the field. Vasco Petrovski's behind it, as is Steven Serbanovsky.
Having your two tall boys on top of the ball doesn't look like they're going to be crossing it, that's for sure.
I'll be amazed if it's anything but a strike at goal.
We've got a substitution here, Russ.
Let's to see what the change is going to be. Is it Lazarov who's limping off? Unable to carry on, perhaps? Serbanovsky is taking control of the free kick. We saw a cracker from Kofi Danning for Canberra Olympic to make it 2-0. And is the goal scorer that's departing. Well, Serbanovsky fancies his chances from here. We've seen some cracking free kicks already in the FFA Cup. Here's Serbanovsky straight into the wall. Wasn't as good as he would have hoped. He's got a second chance to swing that one in towards the substitute, Lachlan Cam. He's kept it in play.
I think the wall's done their job there. I still think that was on target, Russ, and probably would have, made James Christus have to work for it.
I think he hit the back of Nick Popovic in the middle of that wall. So Queanbeyan City make the first change. First roll of the dice from Jozefovski, and Canberra Olympic are going to respond in kind. Zidane Mutlu makes way. Frank Keisha obviously wants to try and shore this one up. The familiar figure of Robbie Katnash joins us. Not a bad substitution to have.
Definitely not a bad one on the bench.
Popovic goes down, free kick Olympic.
I think bringing Katanak on he'll try control the game, slow it down, play at Olympics pace.
They've got about half an hour to find a way back into the tie, Queanbeyan City. For anybody else, last season would have been a good one if you'd finished second in the league, got to the grand final but lost. Not for Canberra Olympic, of course. Latest score in the FFA Cup, early days at Greenway, but a goal for Tuggeranong United. They lead O'Connor Knights 1-0. Again, the Mitch Stevens team will be expected to win. Here's Katnach dancing through his first involvement. Nobody wanted to tackle him in the area there. So all three Premier League One sides leading. Canberra Olympic 2-1 up here, Belconnen 2-0 up at McKellar over Western Molonglo, and Tuggeranong 1-0 up on O'Connor Knights. Here's Dominici, found a little bit of room to move on that flank. Chance for Kelly. Can't find Dominici, and Queanbeyan will try and spring into action. Janchevsky breaks up the tackle. That's a free kick. A chance to just settle things down for those in blue.
One thing I don't think we mentioned, Russ, the quality of this pitch out at Woden looks pretty good from where I am.
You can see it's cut up in a couple of areas where we had that lot of rain over the last couple of days, but in the main it's looking very, very good, isn't it?
Yeah, the ball's travelling pretty well. It's a bit of a fast paced piece of grass, but overall I think it's pretty good.
Free kick swung long towards the far post, and a header from Rolf concedes the corner. Remember, we've got more FFA Cup round 4 action for you from 6 o'clock. Cooma Tigers versus Monero Panthers. Tuggeranong United got off to a flyer at Greenway. They're now 2-0 up. Hamid Pojo Hishkar opened the scoring. Ball swung in here. Daniel Lindstead has made it 2-0 after 12 minutes. Dream start for Mitch Stevens there. It's exactly what you want from a cup tie against lower league opposition, isn't it? A couple of early goals, settle things down.
Yeah, just to save your legs as well for the upcoming season. You don't want to be overdoing it, which I think some of these Olympic boys might be.
Petrovsky. Cam tried to squeeze it through to Pisowski. Kelly looked for Danning, but Gaston was there. Janchevsky. Tim Boblis kept it in, did he? No. Couldn't quite. Valiant effort.
Definitely made him work for it.
Some of the passes have been like that this afternoon, haven't they? They're a bit rusty, some of the Olympic boys, with their distribution. Another free kick. Danning tugged back by Trzaskowski. Reeve. It's a good ball towards Popovic, and there's Gaston across making the tackle. Certainly seems to have put his earlier handball behind him.
Definitely Goran's getting pretty vocal out there on the bench for his team to work a little bit harder. I think they're doing a great job at the moment.
Janchevsky looks to slide it through, and that's well picked off by Ryan. Comes in field. Was Nadeski. Petrovsky's ball forward to Cam. Olsen. Well, he's turned that one over cheaply to Popovic, and they may be made to pay for this one. Katnach almost found Danning. As it is, the clearance is a good one as far as Queanbeyan City are concerned. It's given Rolf a chance to bring Nadeski into play, and he almost managed to return the compliment. Nick Bobolas getting in the way. Katnach, one for Dominici to chase, and that could be one for you up here, Ange.
I think one noticeable difference since Goran's come back at half-time, the Queanbeyan boys in the midfield are definitely holding the ball a lot longer, not trying to give away some cheap possession and playing it around, which is making it a lot more difficult for Olympic.
20 minutes or so gone in the second half. 2-1. Here's Danning. Space for Kelly. Looks to get the shot away, and he's denied by Olsen. Another good piece of defending from Queanbeyan City. Danning looks to spin. Dominici dancing. Katnach trying his luck from range, but always too high, and no trouble for Miller. So they've got themselves where they want to be, Queanbeyan, with just over half of the second half to go. They've in the cup tie still, and they've got a chance to throw everything at this. I mean, it doesn't matter, I guess, now if they do get caught on the break once or twice, as long as they give it a red hot go in this last 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, definitely. You know, in the end, it's a cup match. If you lose by 1, 2, 3 or 4, it's still a loss. So you need to go out there and see what you can do.
Well, what'll please them, I think, is the fact that they've only been undone by 2 set pieces, a penalty and a free kick. Here's a chance for Rolf. And he tries his luck, and decent effort, but always over the crossbar. Saw a chance to make himself an FFA Cup hero for a moment. Eyes lit up for a second, didn't they?
Everyone loves an FFA Cup hero.
Well, we've seen some on Bar TV Sports in Canberra so far this season. We saw Brindabella Blues come from 3-0 down to beat Narrabundah 4-3 after extra time. John Toole with a hat-trick there. 16-year-old Curtis Schaefer winning that game. We saw Zayn Al Jamoudi get a hat-trick for White Eagles in their cup win over Wagga to get them through. Perhaps there's more magic to come this afternoon. You wouldn't bet against it. Bobbless. Catnach is peeled away. Not going to get there though. We often say, Ange, the FFA Cup is a fantastic introduction into the football calendar, isn't it? In Australia, it just gives those clubs things to play for. Even at this early in the season, it's very important. And for most of these clubs, this will be the most important games they play this year, trying to get onto that national stage.
Oh, it's like they say, magic of the cup. Anybody can win on the day, and everybody's got a chance. So, you know, it's really good opposition for all clubs, NPL2, NPL1, and everybody further down to see where they sit this early in the season.
Well, Queanbeyan City will be one of those sides when promotion comes into the equation next year from NPL2 that will be hoping to come up to NPL1, and they certainly wouldn't disgrace themselves if they did. They've been a decent outfit today, led by their skipper Matty Ryan. There's still a chance for them to get back on level terms. Serbanowski. Ulrich is in there.
There's definitely some quality teams in the NPL2, like we were talking before in the first half for us. We've got Queanbeyan, White Eagles, even ANU, just to name a few.
Olympic have made a change. Sean Pateman on debut. Comes on for Jay Kelly. Kelly's worked hard, hasn't he? It hasn't really fallen for him in front of goal. I'm sure those opportunities will come.
No, he's definitely worked hard. Just again, like the other strikers and other players for Olympic, I think the final shot just hasn't gone the way they wanted.
Pateman, another new face to Olympic, starting first 11 this year. Ulrich wins the header. Janchevsky helps it on his way. It's Dominici. Popovic points where he wants it. In doing so, showed exactly where Matthew Ryan to go. And he comes across and wins it again. Popovic. Dominici was just balked. Free kick and a chance perhaps for Danning to have another pop.
I think they're going to try knock the ball in far posts. A couple of the tall boys coming up now for Olympic.
And Nick Bobulus taking up the position farthest away from the ball. Kofi Danning getting some instructions from the bench. Robbie Catnach within menacing range as well, but it's going to be Kofi Danning again, and why not after what we saw earlier.
Smart, very smart move to shut down Robbie Catnach just outside the box.
Here's Danning, and that one is not quite as effective as the one he struck 2 minutes into the second half.
No, I don't think he'll be too happy about that. Don't think many of the boys will actually be too happy about that, considering they had to get all the way up the top there.
20 minutes to go. Olympic lead Queanbeyan City by 2-1. Elsewhere, Belconnen 2, Western Molonglo 0. Tuggeranong United, who kicked off at 4 o'clock, 2 early goals for them in the first 12 minutes. They lead O'Connor Knights 2-0. Olympic looking to put this one away if they can. Here's Danning. They'll take on Ryan. Dominici twists and turns and looks for Reeve. Katnach joins the attack. Something was building for Olympic there, but it's been snuffed out again. Reeve. Ball towards the far post. Ryan clears. Unfortunate slip for Cam. Allows Ulrich to tidy up for Olympic and the blue shirts to come forward once more.
Could have ended ugly though, Russ.
Just a bit greasy on the top of the surface. Here's Popovic. Danning. Kofi Danning with a strike and that's blocked as well. Josh Rolfe once more. Canberra Olympic looking to turn the screw. Rolfe clears at the expense of another corner.
What are we up to, Russ? Number 20 maybe?
About 314. Been an awful lot of Canberra Olympic corners this afternoon. In the main, they've dealt with them well, Queanbeyan City.
I think Queanbeyan's dealt with a lot of things really well in the back third. They've worked really, really hard, and it's shown by the 2-1 scoreline.
What can Michael Reeve do from this one? It's a flat one towards Katnach, who fires it in. Chance on the far post, and again it's denied. Katnach fires it across goal. Danning's there. Dominici's shot. Bit of pinball. Popovic, and he can't finish. And somehow the Queanbeyan goal survives.
Survives another day.
Katnach had a pop. I think Nick Bobolis was lurking on the far post. In the end, it was Popovic on the turn who couldn't keep it down. Interesting variation on the corner there.
Well, I think they needed to mix something up, Russ, after 20, 30 corners and no result.
Here they come again though. Dominici towards Popovic. Good defending by Petrovski. Cam challenges and Ulrich's happy to head that out towards the stands. Queanbeyan in a rush to get on with it, as you'd imagine. Popovic. There's an indication of how strong the wind is. Nicely brought down by Piasowski. Ryan. Just a switch play. That's a good ball as well. It's taken down initially by Trzaskowski, but Michael Reeve was on his toes. You can sense a little bit more urgency about Queanbeyan now, and as we enter the last 15 minutes or so. Cam in the area. Here's Ryan. It might come straight back. Chance for them to get it in the box, but the clearance has been charged down and Dominici brings Reeve into play. Danning, a good challenge across there from Gaston again, I think that is, in the sunshine. You're watching live FFA Cup football on Bar TV Sports, the home of grassroots sport in Australia. Danning's turn. Katnach. Just gone about his business in a quiet, understated way since he came on. Here he is again. Just brings that calming presence to the team when you need it, Ange.
He definitely does, and I think that's why Frank's brought him on, just to, like I said, go at Olympics pace and make sure nothing goes wrong.
Nick Bobolis looks for the ball in behind. It's Popovic. Real chance here, but the whistle's gone for a free kick as Danning fires in the third. Popovic has been penalised in the build-up. Toomey blew the whistle very early in that move.
Actually not sure what contact was made there, Russ? Did you see?
I think Popovic gave himself up with the arms in the air.
Yep.
Been interesting if he hadn't done so. Gave it the old sorry when he clipped his heel. I think it was more by accident than design. But it's affected the play. Referee explaining the situation to everyone involved. I think Robbie Katnach having a word. Like I say, it appeared to be an accident more than anything, but took him out of the play, didn't it? And enabled Popovic to find Danning unmarked. Can you see Queanbeyan City getting back into this one? I know you've got an Olympic hat as well as a coat and hoodie and gloves.
It's going to look a bit dangerous for the final minutes if Olympic doesn't get another goal in this.
Well, they've kept going throughout the whole 90 minutes so far. We've still got 14 or so to play. A chance for Queanbeyan City to try and force extra time. Thumping drive in there. Good tackle, that. Another goal over at McKellar. Balconia United home and host. You would think 3-0 up on Western Molonglo now. Steve Forshaw, their head coach, should be joining me in commentary for Tigers Monero at 6 o'clock if he can get away. Although, with Angelo in his moon boot, you might not be going anywhere for a while.
Someone's decided to take my crutches as well.
Have they? You're in real trouble then. Hopefully it was Dave Jordan from Capital Football and he's put him in your car, otherwise you'll be limping.
I've got an injury here for Lasse from Olympic.
Yeah, Ulrich's down. In a challenge in the middle of the park a few moments ago. Again, one of those jarring ones, I think, maybe on the knee than anything else. As I said, plenty of cup football coming up. MPL starts next week. Canberra FC, Canberra Olympic, Friday night, Deakin Stadium. Live on Bar TV Sports. Then more FFA Cup action the following week. Canberra FC play Brindabella Blues at Deakin Stadium. And on the same night, Woden Western FC take on White Eagles here. Both those games will be interesting. Can you see an upset on one of those two? Gungahlin United and the Pumas as well. So 3 matches there, potential for upsets?
No, I think... I think those games should go the way most people will predict. But, you know, being FFA Cup and even in, you know, normal NPL, you can't write off any team until the final whistle.
Here's Popovic on a burst into the area. Katnach. Reeve. Tries a little trick. Wins another corner. The Canberra FC Brindabella Blues, you'd expect Canberra FC to go through their Gungahlin UC Pumas likewise. The interesting one here, the Woden Western haven't started very well in their season in pre-season, have they? They've not been brilliant pre-season, Woden Western, so White Eagles may fancy their chances there. Corner comes in. Well, we're talking about cup upsets, and O'Connor Knights haven't given themselves up yet. David Keir's pulled one back at Greenway. It's now Tuggeranong 2, Queanbeyan 1 as Danning dances into the penalty area. Delivery is poor though on that occasion from Pateman, the substitutes. Danning shows all his experience rolling his marker. Here he goes, chance for him to pull it back, but Ryan, Captain Colossus, was in the way.
Queanbeyan have got a lot of bodies in that box, and it's making it very difficult for Olympic to penetrate it in any sort of way.
Well, we thought Tuggeranong United might be in for an easy ride there at 2-0 up in 12 minutes, but the Knights showing us what cup-tie football's all about. Got it back to 2-1. They made a game of it. Here's a chance for Popovic perhaps to wrap this one up. Nick Popovic into the area and a good save by Miller. Strong left hand, just as it looked as if Popovic was going to seal it for Canberra Olympic.
That's another quality save. Miller hasn't done a lot. Not that he hasn't done a lot. He hasn't had to work many massive saves in the last half an hour or whatever, and he's been called to make a huge save just then.
Yeah, he's largely been unemployed since Kofi Danning's free kick flashed past him in the 47th minute. He's made 2 cracking saves from Popovic today. Ball comes in towards the near post. Misses everybody. Dominici swings it in. Might come for Katnach. Always rising over the bar again.
Story of the day, Russ.
I don't think that Frank Keisha will have been in charge of too many games where he's had so much possession and so many corners with no reward.
I don't remember playing in any game with so many corners. Yeah, not even like a full attempt on goal. Like they're not really even winning the ball.
Well, Miller's not had a save to make off a corner, has he? Most of the shots have been high, wide, and not very handsome. But 2 have found his net. The second from this man on the ball, Danning. It's a weak pass from him there. And Queanbeyan have noticeably thrown as many more red shirts forward in this attack than they have throughout the whole game. There's 4 of them up front here. One of them's Rolf. Looks to help it into the path of Nadescu's challenged. And Rolf sent it goalwards. And it's bouncing and it's just wide of the post. And for a moment, Canberra Olympic, incandescent to the referee. They thought there was a foul on James Ristis there. And that has to go down as a chance for Joshua Rolf.
Definitely has to go down for a chance. I think James got a hold of it and then was knocked and dropped the ball.
Well, Ivan Pusowski was the man who was closest to him, challenging for the ball, and Ristis claimed he took it out of his hands. It would have stood though.
Definitely would have stood. I don't think Alex was planning on calling any foul there.
Igor Nadescu has done his dash for the afternoon. Picked up a yellow card. It was his foul, unfortunately for him, that led to the goal that Kofi Danning struck, the free kick that gave Olympic the lead. And Queanbeyan fighting back with that goal from Lazarov in off the post, a free kick of their own. Bobolis. Janchevsky. Under pressure from Cam. Bobolis again. This might come for Reeve. Ryan's there though. We don't have an official man of the match today, but if there was, he'd be well up there, wouldn't he?
Ryan? Oh, definitely.
Outstanding. Reeve finds Dominici. Olympic on the attack once more. Bobolis. Danning called for it. Tries to peel away from Tom Olsen.
Not often a man of a match comes on a losing team if the result stands like this, but I think he'll be a well-deserved one.
Bradley Moore was the man that replaced Igor Nadescu in the centre of the park. And this is he. Rather unorthodox first touch. Ryan goes square to Petrovsky. There's a chance for perhaps Queanbeyan to get some players up into the Olympic penalty area. Chance for Trajkovski, looking to force his way through but can't win his team a set piece, and Christis will be in no hurry. Time running out for Queanbeyan City. 5 minutes left of this one. A penalty from Stephen Dominici and a free kick from Kofi Danning, giving Olympic the 2-goal start, and the free kick from Alex Lazarov that went in off the post brought Queanbeyan back into the contest. And since then Olympic haven't been able to rest easy. They've missed plenty of chances, and that's left Queanbeyan City with a chance to perhaps force extra time.
Queanbeyan definitely know they're in with a chance here, and they're giving it everything they've got.
Danning Popovic. Look for Katnach, but it's easily picked off by Olsen. Here's Moore. He in turn loses possession. Cam. Putting the pressure on Ulrich. Ryan's header. Petrovsky. Moore. 5 red shirts up in this attack. Moore. And noticeably everyone in blue, apart from Dominici, behind the ball. Clipped ball towards Rolf, who's just stolen a march for a moment on Bobolis. But the flag had gone up. This has been a real test for Frank Keisha. On the one hand, possibly what he would have wanted ahead of the Canberra FC season opener, just to get his sides up to match speed. But on another, not quite as comfortable as he maybe would have hoped.
Probably not the most comfortable of result if it stands like this. They've definitely had to work for it, and full credit to Queanbeyan so far. They haven't stood back or thought they weren't going to get a result, that's for sure. And I'm sure that's come from Goran Josifovski as their head coach.
Popovic tries to squeeze past the Queanbeyan defence in the corner. Not long to go now. And it's at the right end of the park as far as Olympic are concerned. Popovic tries to spin Joshua Rolfe, but it will be a goal kick, and there'll be a sense of urgency for Queanbeyan City. Jack Miller has been told to wait by Jozowski as they get all the big tall timber up towards halfway, and that's where the ball's going. But it's a Pateman's head for Olympic, and then Ulrich at the second attempt. Danning shoving the back from Olsen, and that's a cheap free kick to be giving away at this stage.
Queanbeyan need to be careful not to give away cheap free kicks, just going to waste the time that they don't actually have.
Very little of it remaining, just over a minute or so, plus whatever Alex Toomey adds on. Remember, you can stay tuned in for the 6 o'clock game. Tigers, Panthers, 2 MPL1 teams going toe-to-toe.
I think that's going to be a really interesting game as well, Russ, with, as you mentioned before, Kuma having the couple of weeks overseas in Argentina, and James Canaritas as the new Monero coach, recruiting a few new players and working them hard.
Plenty of new players on both those sides, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. Here's Popovic. Flag goes up and he just whacks that away, and he's going to get himself a card here, which is a bit silly. Might come back to bite him a little bit later on in the cup competition.
I think that's pretty disappointing from Popovic. He should know a lot better than to do something like that,
especially in the first round for these teams, and potential of 3 more cup ties to come. Doesn't want to find himself suspended for the pointy end of the competition if they're to get that far, Canberra Olympic. Chance for Queanbeyan City in stoppage time. They may as well send every single person forward for this. Trajkovski is over the ball.
They've actually played a short.
I think they played a short corner there, and it wasn't in the quadrant. It's a free kick, in fact, I think. It's been given. It's a corner. He's just not got it in the quadrant. He has now a chance for Trajkovski. Everybody bar 2 in there. Swung in towards the far post. Headed down goalwards, and Christis rather makes the save. Easy one for him. Came off the head, I think, of Pusowski. And then there's some unnecessariness, and it was the last chance of the match. And it came to nothing. And Queanbeyan City, wholehearted and gutsy performance from them, and they didn't lay down throughout the match. On the weight of possession and chances, Canberra Olympic deserved winners, but probably a lot harder than Frank Keisha and Canberra Olympic would have imagined.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a lot harder than Frank would have liked. I think Queanbeyan really changed a little bit when Goran came back at half time. He really pushed his players. They they had a lot more mongrel in them, as I mentioned in the second half, and they really made Olympic work for that win today.
They did. Thanks for your company, Angelo. Good luck with your recovery from your Achilles injury, and we hope to speak to you throughout the season whenever we get the chance. But FFA Cup football, the first of the doubleheader here at Woden Park, has ended as we probably expected, with a Canberra Olympic victory, but perhaps not in the manner in which we thought. A goal from Stephen Dominici from the penalty spot 2 minutes before half-time broke the deadlock and broke Queanbeyan City's resolve. In the second half, a free kick 2 minutes in from Kofi Danning, a superbly struck ball, put them 2-0 up. That seemed to be that at one stage, but Alex Lazaroff had other ideas. His cross-come shot from a free kick went in off the post and gave Queanbeyan City a chance to get back into the tie. They tried their hardest, the NPL2 club, but in the end it was the class of Canberra Olympic that saw them home. They're through to the quarter-finals of the FFA Cup. It's finished here at Woden Park. Canberra Olympic 2, Queanbeyan City 1.